Hey guys, user here. Wanted to kind of comment on the recent developer update for Maximum Football 2024. Now, if anyone's still alive waiting for this game, I'm one of the few, and I've kind of been holding out hope, praying that something would come to the forefront here sooner or later. But we finally got some information, and I kind of wanted to talk briefly through it based off of some of my videos and what they delivered for us. So there's a pretty beefy document that they came out with, and I was really happy to see a lot of the information that was in it because there was a pretty big hiatus from when they last commented till this update. Now, unfortunately, there's no gameplay with it, so I'm going to try to fill in some of the blanks as much as I can. But in the dev update, I'm going to talk through that briefly. So here you could see this is the blocking information, and they're kind of outlining some of the improvements they've made since they last kind of updated with everybody. And one of the big things is the double team to target defenders. Now, if you know me or any of my videos, I've been clamoring for this as a huge, not just a necessary gameplay element, but something that would clean a lot of the footage up. And as you can see, there are elements basically showing that there's dynamic blockers, there's going to be different sizes, the attributes are going to basically impact how they kind of react on the field. There are going to be adjustments, animation scenarios that they're going to try to cut out. But I wanted to show you a clip that I've recently covered. So essentially here's kind of some gameplay, and I've already talked through this before, but as you can see here, these are the areas where the double team would immediately impact the gameplay and improve it severely. So this player, instead of being, a one-on-one blocking scenario, he could basically get in here, double team, and kind of pass that off instead of letting, this defender come through and this guy get immediate pressure on the quarterback. So immediately, I'm really happy about the fact that there's going to be this double team that they're going to be adding to the game. So here's some of the passing information. It sounds like they're going to differentiate some of this with a throw and run and a pocket passing style of quarterback. Now, I don't think that they're going to be designated, but I think what you're going to see is when a pocket passer is throwing, maybe there's some accuracy boost versus a quarterback who is designated more like a running style guy, and he'll be able to get out of the pocket and throw the ball around a little bit. Real quick here too, if I catch it, the catching element to the game, which I kind of harped on before as well, there are going to be hundreds of new animations to kind of help receivers get to the ball. Now, to me, I'm interpreting that as the user can kind of better, get to the football, and it gives you more control over the game itself, whether that's possession catching or like run after catch or just some different things. It looked like in some of the gameplay that we've seen, that's been very limited. They've added a lot of good catches, but I think that this delay has allowed them to add on to that tremendously. And here's just an example of where that would benefit. So I've covered this catch before where he has to do that awkward spin to get to the ball, and instead of doing that, now this player probably has an animation where he could just look back, find the ball, make the easy catch instead of having to turn 360 degree to trigger the animation that would allow that to happen. So real quick too, we have some stuff here that they're addressing in the run game. Now, we haven't seen a lot of the run game since that first trailer, and I think that was because of some of the blocking issues that I mentioned before, and maybe that's just something that they've kind of put on hold because of some of the crunching that they're trying to do to get the game ready for 2023. As you can see here, there's a lot of typical talk as far as like, smoothness, mechanics, and one big thing that really caught my eye here was this bullet point about the differentiated move between like bigger power backs and those smaller speed guys. And someone who used to be a big Madden player, especially in like the PS2 generation, when they added the highlight stick where you would hit up on the analog and basically you could run through players, or you would trigger an animation for smaller guys to kind of use their shiftiness to get, you know, around them different ways. To me, this is a huge step, and I'm hoping to see something kind of about this sooner than later from a gameplay perspective. Now, I also think that that's going to kind of influence people who are playing this for the NCAA experience. If you're building a backfield, you don't want three big power runners. Now you would have to recruit some guys that are smaller, more agile to kind of build your roster around. So I found this gameplay clip from basically a trailer for Madden 07, and this is kind of some of the stuff maybe that we can expect, just triggering different animations for some of the different types of running backs that will kind of be, you know, in the game itself. And that to me is kind of like another huge gameplay element that I'm glad that they've delayed to kind of cover that stuff through. Now defensively, it looks like they're improving a lot of the man and zone coverage here. And there was something else here I wanted to talk about as well. Maybe I kind of breezed through it, but defensively, or from the offensive standpoint for the receivers, they mentioned the receivers now have the ability statistically to get off press coverage and stuff like that, which tells me defensively now you're going to be able to play in like a press jam technique. So I'm assuming that's going to incorporate into the coverage from like this improvement for the man in zone. So we may see some stuff where running downfield, maybe the defenders are able to interact with the receivers and bump them off their routes a little bit better instead of just giving them these free releases like we've seen in the game to this point in a lot of the gameplay. So here is a clip kind of showing some of the AI and what they've done from a coverage standpoint. Now in this clip, I've talked about how the safeties are going to play a little bit differently based off their alignments, some of the zone areas, and as you can see here, this corner is in a cover 2, so he's playing like a flats, like a 7 to 10 yard. I think now what they're saying is some of the AI improvements is going to allow these guys maybe to squeeze down these coverage a little bit more, get more physical, especially here where the receiver is basically just getting a free release. The DB doesn't have an animation to interact with that player. So I'm hoping what that means is we'll be able to get a lot more defense incorporated to stop the offensive players here just from getting through the play untouched. Another thing that they showed was some information about the Dynasty mode here. So I'm not a big, you know, NCAA player. I'm more traditional, like a franchise type guy. But as you can see, they're adding like RPG progression to players, coaches, the facilities. Like Maximum 2020 had a really huge NCAA like in-depth mode already, so adding some of these features is just going to be more built for the enjoyment of those modes. Again, and Maximum 2020 had recruiting, scouting, all that kind of stuff, but the player development is kind of a big one here as well, so players can recruit these you know, guys, fit them into a scheme, probably use some sort of, like, I'm hoping like some sort of mini drill or something to progress the players. And I'm hoping this is something also that goes into like a franchise mode where you can control the ticket pricing and merch and all that other kind of jazz. The old PS2 Maddens, I remember setting like my prices for beer and just all sorts of other stuff to kind of help me feel like I'm in control of what's happening in the franchise completely. So they also talk about the dynamic player and coach attributes that's going to impact your recruitment ability. So I'm assuming bigger schools with more to offer are going to give you the ability to get those higher 4 or 5-star recruits and impact the gameplay from that perspective. And of course, you know, Maximum is probably the best game on the planet when it comes to customizing things. Again, if you're a player of these games from previously, you could customize literally everything. Now the gameplay and just some other basic features of the game were very lacking, but like you could, you know, upload logos, do customization, and it looks like you can share stuff as well now. Now that's a huge feature that's new to this franchise from my understanding. So being able to make teams, You could, hopefully upload those teams. I would love to just download a NFL roster day one, and that's basically how I would be playing the game. But for other people, you can make all sorts of, NCAA teams and all that kind of stuff. So I'm hoping, within a month of the release, there's an NCAA roster, so you could just start your dynasty that way. Um, I was always big on, playing around with the teams. I would love to make my own players and do all those kinds of things as well. And one more big thing that they were not initially going to have at launch, but now looks like to be a feature at the launch of the game, is going to be the online multiplayer. Again, your basic ranked, unranked games, just being able to play the game against other people is going to be cool. And I'm hoping that that means maybe my custom team can play against other people's custom teams. Again, there's a few features that I caught in this dev note that I think were very important to kind of mention, because I think a lot of people missed them. My personal complaints with the game: the press coverage, the receiver DB interactions, the linemen, how they double team and engage and do some of those things. Of course, the customization was going to be there. That was never a thought process in my head that it wouldn't. But this multiplayer online stuff as well is really a big thing for me. So just wanted to give my thoughts and just some things I caught there with the development update. Really makes me happy, and it's got me re-sparked with my interest in the game. If you have any thoughts, anything I missed, let me know below.